In our Wonderful Day in the Lord broadcast, we are going through the trumpet judgments in the book of Revelation. We have just finished up the fifth trumpet judgment in chapter 9 of Revelation, if you have your Bible. And we saw that particular judgment, the bottomless pit has been opened. What appears to be demonic creatures have come forth out of that pit, and they've gone forth to do great damage to people on the earth, those who have rejected Christ. Those who know Christ, who are followers of Christ, have been sealed against this judgment. But those that do not know Christ are suffering. They're not dying. We find in the passage there that the demons that go forth are not killing people, but they're bringing great misery and pain into their lives. We find at the end of chapter of that section, chapter 9, verse 11, that the king of this horde of demonic creatures from the abyss is none other than Satan. He's called Abaddon and Apollyon there, but we are almost certain this is the devil himself that is the king of these demonic creatures. This was the first woe, according to what was being told to John here. There's two more to come, and that, in other words, two powerfully ugly, awful judgments that are coming in the form of these trumpet judgments. So we pick up the story in verse 13 and the sixth trumpet judgment. Then the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God. One saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, "Release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." And the four angels who had been prepared for the hour and the day and the month and the year were released, and so that they would kill 1/3 of mankind. So now, as this sixth judgment, trumpet judgment is sounded, we have this release of these four apparently demonic angels, powerful angels from the river Euphrates area. So these have been bound there for this time. They've been prepared by God apparently for just this moment, and now they are released upon humanity. We find that they go forth and they kill 1/3 of mankind. Remember back under the fifth judgment, under that judgment, 1/3 of vegetation was destroyed. We also found there that a 1/3 of the oceans were turned into blood, and 1/3 of the creatures in the oceans died. We also found that the third angel, the blood, went over, and I said differently, 1/3 of the fresh waters, the rivers, were polluted and people died. And then we had on that fourth judgment, we have the darkening, where 1/3 of the stars and moons and the moon and the sun are darkened. So we have this intense darkness that is facing the earth. Now we find that 1/3 of humanity is killed. Under those circumstances, perhaps some died, but now we have 1/3 of humanity that died. If that happened today, it would be 2.5 billion people that would die under this alone. Now, it is not the angels directly who caused this great destruction and death. We find the content of what they're doing in verse 16. The number of the armies of the horsemen were 200 million, and I heard the number of them. And this is how I saw in the vision the horses and those who sat on them. The riders had breastplates the color of fire and jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses are like the heads of lions, and out of their mouths proceed fire and smoke and brimstone. 1/3 of mankind was killed by these plagues, by the fire and the smoke and the brimstone which proceeded out of the mouths. For the power of the horses is in their mouths and in their tails, for their tails are like serpents, and they have heads with them they do much harm. So we have this picture here of releasing, these angels do, a powerful army of 200 million soldiers. This is a huge army that is released. And this army apparently goes forth to make war throughout the world. So we have a genuine world war. I mean, this time a world war involving the whole planet. And this army goes forth to destroy. Of course, armies will fight back, and so there will be this war throughout the planet. And so billions of people, 3 billion people, will die as a result of this particular trumpet judgment. We find in these verses 17 to 19 a description, as I kind of said last time, perhaps John's attempt as a first century person to describe modern warfare. We almost certainly this is symbolic of what's going on. And this symbolism could very well be showing modern warfare and what it would look like to a first century individual. We don't know particularly about some of that stuff. We'd have to do a little bit of guesswork to get down to that, and that's not necessary. The point is, great destruction, great death is brought about by this sixth trumpet judgment, and these angels going forth and sending forth this powerful army to run roughshod over the earth, killing billions of people. And so it's a horrible, horrible plague. Now, how do people respond to that? Well, that's our subject next time, and we'll pick that up tomorrow. Hope you can join us.